This is GrantTalk, hosted by Libby Hikind, founder and CEO of GrantWatch and author of The Queen of Grants.
Hi, everybody. I'm Libby Hikind, and I am your host of GrantTalk, powered by GrantWatch. And on GrantTalk, we talk to the people behind the grants. So today, we're going to speak to Lisa, and help me with your last name, please. Evangelos, is that right?
Evangelos.
Okay,
yep,
great.
Right.
Okay, Lisa Evangelos, and she is the National Administrator of the Culinary Federation. And
that's right.
Right?
Absolutely, you got it.
I got it right. Okay. So I introduce you to Lisa, and we're going to hear about her journey into grant writing and all the grants that her organization has won that they found on GrantWatch. So Lisa, welcome to our podcast today. And tell us what your organization does.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. And I am the National Administrator for the Canadian Culinary Federation. And we are a professional association of chefs, cooks, and culinary partners across Canada. And so I'm based out of Edmonton, Alberta, which is kind of in the western region of Canada, for those who don't know. But our membership spans across the country. We've got 21 branches from Vancouver on the west coast all the way to Newfoundland on the east coast. And what the association does is every local branch has a membership, and they have monthly meetings where they offer networking or professional development or just socials, workshops on how to do this, how to do that, all related to the culinary fields. And then also we have regional annual meetings and conferences, and then we have one big national conference a year as well. And so I am involved on the local level. I started working with the Edmonton branch, and then one of our local board members became the national president about 6 years ago. And so then I started assisting on the national level as well. So I'm really involved working with chefs, but then I'm married to a chef.
Oh.
And my husband and I own a catering company here in Edmonton called Thrive Catering. So I'm involved in the culinary field in a numerous capacity, but mostly in the administrative capacity.
And what do you do with grant money that comes in?
So in particular, I learned about GrantWatch because I was researching for our first national culinary conference that we had post-COVID. Obviously, the hospitality industry was very struck by COVID, not being able to operate and have people into restaurants, have people into private clubs, have people participating in the culinary world like they used to. So we were looking for creative ways to bring in revenue to assist us in activating our first conference back. So we had our 2019 conference in Niagara Falls, and then in 2020 we were supposed to have a conference in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, one province further from Alberta, where I'm from. And then, so obviously we couldn't have the 2021, we couldn't have the 2020 or the 2021 conference. So 2022 was our first year back, and it was in Saskatoon. And so I was able to find, by using the GrantWatch program, a special event grant from the City of Saskatoon that lined up perfectly with our conference. And so that is the grant that I applied through the program and was successful in receiving. And it was $25,000. And so what we mostly used that for with the Culinary Federation was to reduce the price for conference registrations to make it more accessible for our members who had all been hit hard by COVID to be able to come and attend, so we could gather once again as like a federation family in 2022.
That's beautiful, really.
Yeah.
And
it was really wonderful. People appreciated it very much.
And are you still looking for grants?
I do look for grants on a regular basis, but that's not my main job. And so this was kind of a special project that's how I was introduced to GrantWatch, was through that specific project for the Saskatoon conference. And so I have used it for a little bit of research since, but I haven't applied for a grant since that one.
Okay, well, we want you to stay with us.
Yes.
See what else you can do.
Yeah, and there have been a couple that have aligned with what we need as an organization, but I am only a part-time employee for the Culinary Federation. So I kind of have my list off to the side, and when my day-to-day tasks are complete and I'm able to apply for more grants, we will, because we're a small nonprofit. organization that needs grant funding. And so, I will always continue to look for grants and apply for them when I have the opportunity to.
And does your organization extend to the United States?
No, we don't. But there is the American Culinary Federation that we are have a brother, sister, familyhood with. They attend our conference every year. And so even though we are on the other side of the border from them, they benefited from that grant as well, because they paid the registration fee that was lower because of the grant that we were able to receive from the City of Saskatoon. So they benefited as well.
Was that your first grant?
That was my first grant that I've ever applied for on behalf of the Culinary Federation. I have applied for grant funding in the arts industry, like in the music industry for myself, because I'm a singer-songwriter. And so I had experience with grant formats and grant requirements and eligibility requirements, all these things. But I had never actually applied for a grant with the Culinary Federation. So that was my first time. And GrantWatch was a very great tool to have, because it was, it can get very overwhelming trying to find what grant fits your need.
Right. We try to make it simple for you.
Yeah, and it worked really well.
Okay. Did we send you a mug?
You did, because I think maybe I got a follow-up survey about applying for a grant through GrantWatch. And so I have that exact mug.
Oh, okay.
And I use it
Not
regularly.
with you, though.
Not with me right now,
okay,
no,
so
unfortunately.
you think about us when you're picking.
I believe I did, when I first got it, took a selfie and tagged GrantWatch on social media. So it exists.
Okay. Well, when you wrote your grant, did you use any AI?
No. That was kind of probably right around when AI was just becoming a tool that people used. So I am the national administrator, but we also have a conference manager. Her name's Sue Mercer, and she's located in Toronto. And so her and I collaborated in the process of applying for the grant, because she had a lot of the answers in regards to budgeting and such specific to the conference. And so her and I worked together. We didn't use any AI in that process.
It's hard. You started, you did it, it's great. And now you have to make the time to do more amongst everything that you're doing. And it's difficult. AI might be able to shorten it a little bit, but it's much better when you write it yourself.
Yeah, I have just dabbled a little bit in using AI for some administrative processes, like sorting things or creating schedules, but I haven't used it a ton, because I do love writing myself. I love to write. I do a lot of writing for the Culinary Federation in newsletters, in social media and blog posts and other magazine content. So I kind of enjoy that process. So I'm
don't give it up
for AI, maybe assist in the things I don't enjoy as much.
Right. Don't give up the love for writing. Well, if you had a wish for your organization, what would it be?
Oh, that is a great question. Growth, probably, because I think that professional associations have struggled prior to and because of COVID, because gathering together with your peers, took a real big back seat and wasn't a priority for a long time. And so it's been a slow process for people to resume that habit of community. And so the Culinary Federation has not necessarily decreased in numbers, but since COVID hasn't continued to grow like it used to. So I'd love for it just to grow and more chefs, cooks, people in the culinary field to learn about it and to come and join and participate in it.
So how will people reach you?
Well, we have a website, culinaryfederation.ca. And then we are Culinary Federation basically on every social media platform as well. And if you go to any of those things and you direct message or email the website people, you always end up with me. So if you want to reach out to me, that's how you do it.
And do you have any tips for anyone that's writing their first grant?
Yes. I would say if you're looking for grants, plan ahead and don't try and rush to meet a deadline. If you find out that you're eligible for a grant and it's due in 3 days, don't pour your heart and soul into it in that cramped time frame, because you won't get your best work, and then your likelihood of receiving the grant is less. So if you're starting on the journey of looking through and using GrantWatch to kind of filter the grants that you're eligible for or that are applicable to your field or to whatever you're doing, look to the future and make a long-term plan and create a calendar that's in 3 months this grant's due, in 3 months this grant's due, in 3 months this grant's due. And if they're all in a similar method, then you will be able to use that first big grant application. You'll be able to take and use pieces of for all the following grant applications. And so you take your time and make sure that you're doing quality work and not rushing, because it is like, it's an undertaking to apply for a grant. And the people on the other side that are reviewing all the applications, like they're looking at so many. So if your work is rushed or it's not detailed enough and it's not quality, you're just going to end up in the pile.
And when you're writing a grant, it takes your entire organization to participation to get it right. So everything else goes to the side. So if you don't plan, you're really wasting time. I hear you, and I've seen it happen. What we do have is we have a calendar on GrantWatch.
Yep.
So on the top right corner under your name, when you're logged in, there is My Grants calendar. And when you're on a grant detail page, you can add it to your calendar, and you can manipulate that calendar any way you want so that you have that planning.
Yes. And so that you know what's coming, and so that you can be proactive, basically, would be my greatest suggestion.
I think that's a great suggestion. I hope everybody listens, because the last minute, I did it once. I stayed up 4 nights in a row to work on something. It's not your best work. It just isn't.
No.
Can't be.
And then you pour it, you have it's so much effort to apply for a grant that when you don't get it and you stayed up for 4 nights in a row, it's devastating either way when you don't receive something that you're hoping for. But if you give it your best work, your chances are greater.
And don't throw out the rejection, because you can use it again.
Exactly.
And sometimes you can write
and
to
reapply.
Right.
That would also be a suggestion. Just because you don't get it the one time doesn't mean you shouldn't reapply for it the next time.
Mm-hmm. And now, do you think you can apply to the same organization again and get it for the next year?
Well, it's different because every year we host our conference in a different city. And so the next time we end up in Saskatoon, which probably won't be for a number of years. But now that I know that City of Saskatoon funding exists, if we ever end up back there for anything of this nature, for sure I'll apply for it again. And now I have the contacts to reach out and say, I'm thinking of applying again. Has anything changed since the last time we received it? I have people that I can contact directly instead of just, relying on generic information. Like I can contact the lady who approved my grant last time, and be in touch.
Right. And maybe you could look under tourism a little bit, because you're putting a conference in a location and you're bringing economic opportunity to the area. If a lot of people are coming, they're going to spend money.
Absolutely. And it was like a City of Saskatoon and Tourism Saskatchewan kind of combination. Like the City of Saskatoon is who I applied to, but it was a bit of a collaboration between both. And that same year, it was just a grant that was being advertised across Canada, was a tourism relief fund for anybody that was trying to bring back activity after COVID. We were successful in receiving that grant as well that year.
Right. So that's the way to go, I think, because you're going to bring people to any location. So since you're traveling all around, and you can think in terms, a year ahead, just to tell them, hey, we want to come. We need a subsidy here.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's not a regular kind of grant. It's something that you actually create by having those conversations. And
we do receive usually a little bit of funding from the city that we're coming to. It just depends. It just depends on their budget and what that city's going through at that time as well.
Right. You can go to the Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
In that area. I know we have them here in the United States, so I'm sure you have them in Canada as well. Right?
Oh, we do. We do.
Right. Well, it was really great speaking with you. And I hope that, you continue to do well and you find the time to write some more grants, because you're obviously good at it.
Thank you.
I want to just ask you if you would follow us on all our social media channels, which is up at the right corner of GrantWatch. And I want to speak to our listeners right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment on this on the YouTube channel or on Spotify or Apple, or iHeart, wherever you listen or are watching, because you want to hear more from the people behind the grants. They're just like you. They have an idea and they go for it, and you can too. Right?
Wonderful. Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you for tuning in to GrantTalk, powered by GrantWatch. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this GrantWatch channel. Please consider subscribing to GrantWatch.com, and you can find the book, The Queen of Grants, by going to GrantWatch.com/book. Thank you again for spending your time with us.